Welcome to Conversations at the Cowgirl. I'm Madison Ward, and we are pleased to present this special series on escaramuzas, charreras, where we will take a deep dive into the creation of the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame's newest exhibition, Soldaderas to Amazonas. Today, I talk with 2023 Cowgirl Honoree Gladys Roldan-de-Moras, who is known for her paintings that spotlight Spanish and Latino culture, specifically escaramuzas. Her award-winning talent has landed her work in many private and public permanent locations in museums, universities, and publications. In this episode, we talk about her work portraying escaramuzas and her personal connection with the culture. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations at the Cowgirl, where in this series, where we're exploring everything escaramuza to celebrate the exhibition that is now open at the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame. And we are so excited to welcome Cowgirl Honoree, a 2023 honoree, Gladys, and I will give her the reins to introduce herself and talk about what got her here today in that beautiful studio that she has that we'll go into, but how she's here today as an artist and a Cowgirl Honoree. So welcome, Gladys.
Thank you, Madison. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you for this invitation, and I am beyond honored to be one of your newest honorees.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and you are a great fit for the museum with the background that you have, but also as an artist as well. So talk to me about how did you come to be an artist? Where did you get that inspiration that it led to being your life's work and your career?
Yeah, well, I was born in Monterrey, Mexico, in a place called San Pedro Garza Garcia. And I was born and raised there, went to school there. And around the age of 21, I got married and I came to the United States, precisely to Texas. And art had always been what I wanted to do, but I came from a very traditional family where art was not an option if they thought you had a little bit of intellect. My dad used to say, bless his heart, he used to say, oh, no, you don't want to be a starving artist. You've got you're a little bit smart. So that was not an option. So I decided to go into medical school. And, whatever reason, I was there for almost 5 years. And in Mexico, it's 7 years. My husband was here. Back then, my fiance was in Austin studying, getting his PhD, and he proposed to me. And I was tired. I had gone into medical school so young. So I accepted his proposal, moved to Texas. Then he was invited to teach at Texas Tech University as an engineering professor. And I got pregnant with our oldest son. We have two labakites. Unfortunately, my son was born a little bit, who needed a little bit of care. And I decided that I did not enjoy medicine anymore. And my husband said to me, hey, why don't you just do what you've always wanted to do, and I will support you. And so he's been doing that. He's my rock. And I owe to him his love and his encouragement to where I've been. And I have been doing art ever since, and that's about 40 years. So I'm happy to do that. I found my calling representing my culture in contemporary Western art. And without knowing, it took me years to learn the technique of oil painting. It takes many years, but I had not found my voice. I did not want to be a clone of my teachers, who were very gracious and had shared so much with me, but I wanted to find my voice. And I had a dear friend and mentor who told me, I asked him, well, I need to be individual. How do I find my voice? And he said to me, you need to paint what you love. And after, I don't want to say after learning, because the technique of art, it's a lifelong learning thing. I mean, I'm constantly learning more things, and the more I know, the more I realize I have so much more to learn. But I started to think about charreria. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather from Monterrey, was a charro. That was his passion. And I admired a great artist by the name of Joaquin Sorolla, and he painted these women on horses. And I could not go to Andalusia right then because I was attracted to the women and these beautiful horses. And I thought, oh, my grandfather and the escaramuzas. And I am just so blessed to live in this beautiful city of San Antonio, which has a thriving Hispanic community and has so many teams of charros and of escaramuzas. So I head out to my local lienzo, and the moment I stepped in there, it was like I was in heaven. I knew I needed to portray this. And what I found out, Madison, is that I had a unique opportunity to represent in contemporary Western art the female writer, the Amazona, the escaramuza, with the technique that I had learned or I was learning, and with the love and the understanding that back then I did not understand as much as I now understand, and the responsibility that I have on my shoulders of representing not only the women, but these great men of the charreria that represents my culture, my heritage. So that's how I got into portraying charreria, and especially the escaramuza.
Oh, that's such a beautiful story, and I think that speaks to the cowgirl that you are. You, like you said, your father knew knew you had so much great potential and going to medical school, but really following your heart and following your dream and kinda making that shift in that direction to do what you love, and you even mentioned one of your, mentors and teachers said, "You need to paint what you love," and then it just came to life, and I do love that you talk about there's always something to learn, you're always learning, and I'm sure that reflects in your work, but what a blessing that you are able to do something that you love so much, but you're really able to pay homage to your heritage, but really give a platform through your own platform as an artist and a cowgirl. You're able to give a platform to display this beautiful um, competition, but beautiful active writers that still hold the heritage of what the escaramuzas do. So I think that is really so special for yourself and for the organization.
Yeah, thank you, Madison. Yes, I find it as a huge responsibility because charreria is a national sport of Mexico. There's a saying in Spanish that says, vestirse de charro es vestirse de México. And that includes the women. And so it's in Western art, which I'm very blessed to be a member of course, their Western artists are very educated historians, not only artists, and collectors are too. And they pay very particular attention to detail. If this outfit goes with this this era, if the tribe that they're painting, if it's Native Americans, everything has to be historically correct. Well, I am able to go in there and present in contemporary Western art the actual escaramuza. And because a lot of people see the escaramuza and they're like, oh, a beautiful girl with ruffles, with a hat on a horse. Well, there's so much more than that. Yes, they are not, they don't only have to look beautiful, but they are great athletes. I'm in awe every time I see them. But they also, what a lot of people don't understand is they have to follow the bylaws of the Federación Mexicana of Charrería that puts out a book about every 3 years, with all the rules and regulations and the bylaws of how the outfit has to be. So you don't just get a girl in ruffles and put her on. There's so much responsibility. And I very humbly try to do that with the escaramuza, as I know that a lot of the charros that live in this great nation that I now am very blessed to belong to do. So that is what I do. And I try to give them a much more importance in history, which ties in with the beautiful exhibit of the Adelita in Amazona, because years ago, before they were really, received a permanent placement in the charreria and the charreadas, they were more of the helpers. Even though in the revolution, not only did they sew and they cook and they took care of a lot of the things, they also were very important in the revolution. But through the years, they became more of a decorative symbol in the charreria. And not anymore. I mean, since back then when they were admitted, I think it was in 1987, they were permanently admitted into the Federación Mexicana Charrería. And so I have tried to put them in the forefront, and I'm very honored to be able to do that. Like I said, every time I go to one of those events, I am in awe to see them. I just wish I could have been in escaramuzas when I was young. Too late for that. So I paint them as best as I can.
Well, and what a special way to be a part of it and showcase these women. And it's so interesting. I'm glad you brought up the history aspect of it because, as myself, someone on the outside, I have learned so much about the history of Escaramuza and the heritage, and that it's like you said, and Diana had actually mentioned this to me as well. But it's so much more than the beautiful dresses and the hats. I think that might be the eye-catching part of it for someone to get drawn and see that attention, but there really is so much more to it of the culture of it, the heritage of when it started way back when, and that these girls are still really, and I think it is because of all the rules and regulations that they have to follow, but and it can kinda sound strict, and I talked with Paula, who is the US ambassador, and it was a delight just talking to her, but she was going through, yes, there are all these rules, but it is to keep that culture alive, and for certain things not to change that do need to stay the same, and to really have an appreciation for keeping that culture of how it needs to be, so it's not changed with the times, but really the importance of it, and, Constance Yagi, she did the photography for the exhibition, so I talked with her, and this exhibition was a year in the work between everyone, and Constance talked about, just as a photographer, how much research that she did to make sure that she was portraying this exhibition through her photographs and tying in with the textiles and the dresses that were a part of it, as well as the poetry, to make sure she was giving the right platform to it. And so it's just amazing all the different layers,
Yes.
that are a part of this, and I'm sure that's something, and it sounds like, and you already knew from your own personal history a lot about Escaramuza, and you mentioned your father, your grandfather that had
Was my maternal grandfather, and
grandfather.
yes, he is in the Hall of Fame in Mexico as one of the men in northern Mexico that helped make charreria the official identity and sport of Mexico. So I carry that with great honor, and I just lean more towards the girls, not only visually. I do paint a lot of the men, the charros, and I follow the same things, the bylaws, the rules and regulations, and I read them carefully. And now, uh, when they are participating in very official events, they have to follow these rules. But when they are on parades, there's more liberty of decorating the horses or their outfits. But still, it's a great responsibility when you dress up as an escaramuza to portray Mexico. And it's interesting, Madison, because last thing I heard, I believe there's 125 million people in Mexico. There is right now federated, that means that they're official members of the Federación Mexicana of Charros, charros. So we call them federated charros. There's only 30,000 in the world.
Wow.
And if you look at the amount, 125 million people in Mexico, 30,000 charros that are trying to really portray the symbol of Mexico. And then you take into account that charreria was here in the United States since well, not officially, it was in the 1920s, but before the walls were moved around. And right now, the last thing I heard from the president of the Charros of San Antonio is that, and this is what is very surprising to me, people see my paintings and they think I'm painting the scenes in Mexico, which I could, but 90% of my paintings or more are from teams in the United States. Last thing I heard was that there are 15 states in the US that have teams of charrerias, organizations, and among those, there's so many teams and they're constantly developing them. And what I have seen might not always be this way, but what I have seen through the years is that the teams, and I'm talking mostly of escaramuzas, the female part of the charreria, they have a lot of endorsements in Mexico from big companies or, patrons or sponsors or whatever you want to call them. But many of the ones that I know here, especially in South Central Texas, they continue this tradition because of the love of the sport. They have bake sales, they have tamale sales, they have all these to fundraise to get their outfits, to get their saddles, to get, so it's clearly a love of the sport. So if you think about those 30,000 and the amount that are here in the States that carry this tradition that started in, I believe in the 1920s, was the first time they had organizations in 5 states. It's a great responsibility, and I admire them for doing that. So I'm putting in my little 2 cents to keep their voice alive and get them known. And I get calls from them and they say, hey, thank you for, suddenly we're on the front page. We're not the decorative kind of, in the background. And I invite everybody to go to a charreada one day. You will be in awe. It's just an amazing event from the start to the beginning. And if there is any kind of event called Feria de Escaramuzas, where it's a fair of escaramuzas, and there's so many teams and they show their not only their art, the artistic side, but the sportsmanship of these great athletes and cowgirls they are, you will be in awe. Because not only do they look beautiful on those dresses, but they ride side saddle.
Mhm.
That's, to me, side
Not
saddle.
easy.
Sometimes I don't understand it because I go and I see them when they train, and they train riding, the regulars way. And then when they're dressed up and the event, they're side saddle. Oh my goodness. So it's a beautiful event. Y'all should go see it one day.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I know talking with Paula and all the different things that these girls do, especially in the US as well, to keep it alive and the funding that they have to do. And I talked with her. I was like, what an amazing opportunity for young women, though, and women of all ages. But they're gaining skills that will serve them the rest of their life to serve as an ambassador. And the work that it takes to get to do what they love,
Yes.
really just paying off in the long term. So I'm glad to hear. I love hearing the themes of everyone that I've talked about too in this exhibition. There's definitely themes throughout that everyone has an appreciation for this group. But I do want to talk about, because you do have, I'm looking kind of in the background, you have in some of the images that I've seen before, some of your pieces of different stages of the girls. There's one standing next to a horse. There's some girls riding. So where do you get your inspiration? Is it going to those events, maybe taking some photos, and then coming back to your studio and deciding how you want to bring that movement or that piece to life? Where do you get that inspiration?
Well, I have taught art for many, many years, almost for 30 years, you know, not totally constantly, but when I've had time. I first learn to paint from life. That's the most important thing. And now I'm speaking as an artist to maybe a wannabe artist. So it's very important. The way I paint is to paint from life. After you kind of learn what light does and shadow and temperatures and all of that good stuff for an art that we artists go through, then you can rely on photographs. And of course, I am so blessed that be in San Antonio, where there's so many Mexican rodeos, lienzos, and there's many events. So I take my camera, I take my sketchbook, I take my pochade box. A pochade box is a small little wooden box that has little canvas panels and paints to make notes. It's kind of like you going to a class and taking notes. Well, I take notes, but visually, of colors that the camera doesn't see, but I can perceive. And color sense is a very unique thing for every artist. So that way, when I come back to my studio, I can rely on those color notes and photographs and sketches. But doing something like what I'm doing right here, this painting, which is still in the works, and I think I can move a little bit so you can see. That's in. Of course, I could not paint that from life. I have to rely on photographs, on being there, on doing sketches. And I also have this here. I have mannequins. Now I have them, I dress them up. Sometimes I have some of these girls come and pose in my studio. They come and we have poses of 30, 40 minutes and then take a break, and they bring their whole outfit. I recently did a couple of paintings of the China Poblana, another of the official outfits of the escaramuza. So I have some China Poblana dress that belongs in my family that I'm very fond of, and I have a wonderful escaramuza that comes in models for me, and she'll dress up, and I'll do photographs. I'm sorry, I'll paint from life, and then I'll do also photographs. So, and when they can't show up, then I dress them up, my mannequins, and I have several of these wooden life-size mannequins. Now, this outfit right here is very special to me right now because I am about to start a 10-foot by 10-foot mural size painting. And the gentleman that required, or the group that required this, once this paint, that commissioned this murals, wants the beautiful landmarks of San Antonio, which I have tied together, the missions, which are a UNESCO heritage site. They have tied together, I have tied together the missions and the escaramuzas, because historically they have been here. And the person that commissioned wanted this color of an outfit. So we had to go to Mexico and have the outfits made for the whole team. But I ordered one extra for me so I can have it in my studio. And as you can see, it's a beautiful all embroidered dress. And I got to see them wear it just recently, and they look just so beautiful. I fall in love with these dresses. I would never dress up like that because, again, if I were to dress like this, I would have to wear the whole attire as you should, as the rules. But it's special, and I'm about to start those paintings, that big mural painting, I'm sorry. So I have that kind of thing because I can study the color in the light, in the sunlight, in the shadow. I have a very large studio right in front of me. I have 15 5x7 windows perfectly aligned to the north. That is a studio for an artist that has constant north light. So, and everything is on rollers, so you can kind of see. So I roll things around, and so both, to answer your question, that's how I work. I bring so many photographs, sketches, colors, then I work here in my studio trying to come up with a design. It's not just about taking a photo. It's about, well, does this work here? Can I add this and that? And the rest is history. And I really enjoy painting the relationship. I try to capture the relationship of the escaramuza and her horse. And in this case, right here, it's a little bit sideways so you can't see it. This is escaramuza Carla Murillo and her horse, and I can't remember the name of her horse. It'll come back to me. But and you can just see that bond, that trust, like any great cowgirl has with their horses. And I wanted to capture that moment before they start putting the arreos on the horse. And she's great to work with, and she comes and models for me all the time. So all of them are great. You know, that's something I'm very blessed that through the years of doing this and representing the charreria and escaramuza, I've gotten to learn, to meet, to be friends with these great charro families that are in San Antonio. I have seen these girls from their mommies being pregnant to grow up and be escaramuzas that I am just in awe. There's a family here in San Antonio that Medina that I've known so many of them, and every time I post a painting, they'll call me, "Hey, is that my uncle? Is that me?" Is but it's been an honor to see them and to see the love they have for this national sport and how they carry it with pride and total dedication. Because, you know, Madison, like all cowgirls, they get up so early at 5 in the morning. They're out in the lienzo rehearsing. And then they go, you know, they go home, they get dressed, they go to work, to school, and then at night, here we go again. It's the true, you know, dedication to the sport.
Absolutely. Yes. And I'm so glad for those who are able to see the video in the background. If you are listening on audio, as Gladys mentioned, she has a beautiful escaramuza dress. She uses as inspiration, but actually using to paint a mural. And I love that this mural that you are painting, you are able to bring that escaramuza history within it and include that. But I loved hearing all the different ways that you draw inspiration, but the method you use to create the imagery. It's multidimensional of having models come in or putting a dress on a mannequin, but then also being at the events in person to, you know, you took some pictures, did your research there, but to capture that movement. But I do want to go to the part that you did bring up because it's so important to the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame. We're cowgirls, and a lot of times, most of the time, that comes from some kind of connection with the horse. And these girls are cowgirls, they're riders, they have to have that bond with the horse. And I think it's amazing to capture. I think not only is it hard to capture, I think, movement and then to put that into a painting to be able to portray that. You're portraying movement of the dress of the girl, but then also the horses and the organization of how they do their different patterns and stuff like that. But I think it's really special to capture the emotional side of it and the relationship that women, that people have with horses. Cause I think that's something that everyone can relate to if they have horses, if they have animals, on any degree. I think someone could look at the image of the girl when you're looking at this to your left, and anyone can feel that emotional pull of that cowgirl the way she's admiring her horse. So I really love that part of it, that you did take that angle of how special it is and what you were able to notice and draw inspiration from. Say, oh, I need to share this part of the story as well as the competition side.
Yes, to me, it's very important. And there is another young escaramuza that was there at the Cowgirl Museum, Jasmine Medina. And she is one of those girls that I have painted since she was a toddler. And to see what she's doing, how she portrays, and all these awards, she's also doing barrel raising. But I have seen her with her horse. I have painted her so many times, that relationship. And not only that relationship, there's one painting that I did a couple of years ago where it's her mother dressed in the charra outfit, and she is, I didn't want to say it's a blessing, it's a conversation before going into the lienzo. And because, as you know, it's a very dangerous sport too. That's what a lot of people that don't know about horses, it's a very dangerous, not to the girls, and to the horses. And I have seen, accidents. Thankfully, I've never seen something that has been, that they have not recovered from. But there is a sense of, what is the word I'm looking for? Of danger when you go into a lienzo. And they have to be very concentrated, just like, the cowgirls in the barrel racing and in the different kind of sports they do. So I try to capture that. I try to capture the family. I try to capture the sense of pride of what they do. And then I also love to capture the beauty of the event. I have several paintings that I've done through the years where you see the lienzo full of people cheering them on, or maybe an arm trying to, I'm still working on this painting that's on my left side here. But, and always, again, trying to keep the historical and the rules. I'm very lucky to have historians in Mexico, foremost the historians of the charreria, that if I have any kind of doubt, I will call them personally. That, hey, no, you can't do that. Oh, no, that needs to be fixed. No, you can't use this color. And I follow some of the YouTube channels of these people that they're called, one of it's called Preservando la Esencia de la Tradición. That means that he's constantly putting out videos of, okay, this you cannot do, this you can wear, this color is not allowed, because we have to continue representing this sport the way it is. It should be the way it should be. So I run into these things. I constantly call these trainers. I once got in trouble for doing it. I was going to paint one of the girls, and they were walking to the trailer, and I don't remember if they were coming or going from the trailer at one of the events. And I wanted to paint her. She was cold and she was wearing a sweater. And so I called one of the trainers and said, hey, Jimmy, could you please tell me who this girl is? Because I would like her to come and pose for me in the studio. I haven't finished this painting. I would like her to come and pose with the sweater. And he looked at me and said, please do not paint her with that sweater. That is not in the rules. So you do not. And I was like, oh my goodness. See, so I constantly have to be researching. And that's what I bring into Western art, because I understand it, that I can try and keep it as faithful as it should be. And I just hope that the charros in Mexico, agree with me that I'm doing the right.
Well, and it's learning all the different rules and the colors and how everything is constantly changing on when they're updating those regulations. But it's something that is important to you, and that's reflected in your work. I mean, all throughout, as simple as you're getting kind of a candid moment of a scaramuza where it's cold. She has a sweater on. She just finished competing. But no, it needs to be represented the right way. And I think that's really important to the culture and the heritage. And something you talked about and the method that you create these beautiful pieces of work is all about the colors. And I think that's a really great aspect of a scaramuza, when that's kind of the first thing that draws a viewer's attention is the beautiful colors. And talk to us, and I think I can see that portrayed in a lot of the work that you have behind you. So talk through kind of the importance of using color and light to create the work that you have.
Well, okay. First of all, when I'm painting the escaramuzas that are in the lienzo, again, following the rules, the team has to be in the same dress. There's a couple of things that you can change, like some of the bands or the rebozos, but there's all of that. Now, I am known to paint, that I love to paint sunlight. So that's something I constantly have studied, and I continue to learn about. But I enjoy tremendously trying to portray sunlight and shadow. So most of my paintings, not all of them, because that's not all I can paint gloomy days, or I should say I'm trying to paint gloomy days or overcast days, but I'm very attracted to the beauty of the color. And the the color is so married with our culture and our heritage. I cannot paint representing Mexico without color. All of us that have been in Mexico know that there's just so much color. It's interesting because people tell me, your paintings are so colorful. And yes, they are. But technique wise, I have already dulled all my colors on my palette so that they're not totally competing against each other. And even if I do that, everybody tells me they're just so colorful. And I'm like thinking, wow, if you only knew I already toned them down. And they could have been. But then there's a saying in art, if every well, in many things, but if everybody's screaming, nobody's being heard. It applies to color. If everybody is in very bright colors, you can't make a statement. So I use some techniques that I've learned through the years and some that I have made up on my way, and to try and make things as colorful. Now, women escaramuzas are allowed to wear all kinds of colors. Only, for example, you cannot use fluorescents or neons. You cannot use metallic. I don't know if you know this, they cannot use metallic buttons on their outfits. They have to be zipped in the back. The only kind of surface or that they can use is it's shell and amber. I think that was the last thing and marcasite. They can use in their earrings. So there's so many rules that, somebody that was just asking me, well, how come I don't see escaramuzas that are pierced? Well, that's in the bylaws. No piercings, no tattoos showing. So they have to be. What I'm trying to say is the love of the sport and following the rules. It even takes into that kind of thing where you've got to think about getting double piercing. Now, for example, if they're not pierced in their ears, they don't have to wear earrings. But if they do have piercings in their ears, they do have to wear an earring. Isn't that, interesting? So, anyways, talking about color, sorry, I just kind of went on to the other side. But also in men's outfits, there are colors that are not allowed. So I'm constantly taking care of looking into my painting and reviewing it, making sure that it's, because I really want my paintings to be here for posture. I'm sorry, that word just doesn't stay with me. For posteriority. I'm sorry, that's my English not word. I'm trying to say that word, whatever. I want my paintings to be here for a long time, and I want people to be able to see them, not only as contemporarily historical, but 100, 200 years from here, that they did follow what we were trying to do, and with a lot of respect and honor is the word I'm trying to do. And I feel so blessed to be able to represent these escaramuzas.
I think it's such a beautiful angle that you're able to represent and show their beauty and keep that tradition alive. And you mentioned everything down to you can't have a metallic button. I think I was talking with Paula, and it was a metallic uh thread to stitch everything together. Like that was on one, and they couldn't use that because of that thread, which is just crazy.
Yes.
But also really special because it really is truly at the end of the day, yes, it's a strict rule, but it's about preserving that heritage. So
Yeah.
lastly, I know I can tell in the way that you talk, you're so passionate about it. And it's your life's work that you're able to portray Escaramuza and the beauty and all the different layers that it is to be a cowgirl in this organization. But, lastly, I do wanna ask you, what does it mean to you that you have gotten the honor to take this on and be able to tell their stories through your paintings and your work?
Well, I am just overwhelmed with a profound sense of responsibility and gratitude, and just to be able to do this and represent them I am committed to preserving also their traditions and their values. I just can't put it in words. I'm beyond honored, but I feel it's a great sense of responsibility and one that I do not take lightly. And I believe it's going to be my lifelong. This is my lifelong journey. Is not only in the States, in Mexico, but worldwide, getting people, historians, museums to know about the great Amazona Adelita Escaramuza, the great cowgirl they are, and the great representative of their culture. And I am just honored to be able to do that.
Well, and it has been such a pleasure getting to talk with you and learning all about your life's work and talking to you as a Cowgirl Honoree of the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame. And we are excited to have Gladys. She will be visiting the museum for, I believe, a Cowgirl Connections in September. So feel free, stay in touch with all of the events at the museum if you want to come hear more of Gladys's story and the work that she does. Be sure to join that event in September. And thank you so much for joining us today and letting us peek in your beautiful studio. We can't wait to see the work that you have to come.
Thank you so much, Madison. I am very thankful for this invitation. I am honored to be part of the Cowgirl group. I am just in awe of all of this amazing group of women, and I'm looking forward to coming to the Cowgirl Museum in September and meeting lots of people. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we stopped recording, so we're good. Thank you so much, Gladys. This was such a pleasure.
I hope so. I hope I didn't go. See, I tend to go everywhere.
Oh, no, but that's the best. That's truly the best conversations because it's just like if you and I met you at the museum and we got to talking, that's how that conversation would go. So that's how I love for these episodes to be. So thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you. And you know where to find me in San Antonio if you're ever down here.
Absolutely.
I don't live here. I live 5 minutes away. This is
But you basically live there. I'm sure you spend more of your time there.
yes, I at 7:30 and leave at 6 every day. And
Wow.
I don't paint as I used to, as quickly as I used to. I know that, but I'm getting to more, this painting here, right there,
Mhm.
that's also an official dress of the escaramuzas, right there.
Wow.
That's the Adelita dress, which is a whole different story, but I am very proud and I was surprised to have won the Prix du West Medal for Oil Painting as a rookie, the first Mexican woman to receive that award
Oh,
last year.
wow. Oh, that's amazing.
With that painting, and I
That
am
painting. Oh my gosh.
another of the official. There's 3 official dresses of the escaramuza, and that is one, the Adelita.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's so wonderful to visit you. Say hi to Diana for
I
me, and
will, I will, and I'm hoping I don't work at the museum anymore, I just do some contract work and doing stuff like this. So, love when I get to do it, but I'm gonna try my best so I can actually meet you in person, and come to the Cowgirl Connection in September so I can
I,
see you in
I would,
person, not just over Zoom.
yeah, I would love that. And I have to say, you have a beautiful voice.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
I don't know if you know, but my son is an opera singer, so I'm very in tuned with voices, and I see you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, well, thank you, and what an amazing I love hearing, because I was thinking, like, how did she get into painting and taking that it is a leap of faith to go an artist route, just like you had mentioned with your dad of like, "Oh, go the smart route, like, go, doctor, lawyer, engineer," like that the calculated paths, so I'm always I just have so much respect for people like yourself that have taken a leap of faith and really made something of it, so I love seeing that it sounds like that's something you passed down to your son as an opera singer, that's amazing.
It is scary. It's because uh, being a what's it called, self-employed is scary.
Mhm. Oh, it's
Having
hard, yeah.
hard, but you have to put one foot in front of the other. And if you have, your husband, your boyfriend, your whatever you have, your other half that supports you, believes in you, it makes a world of a difference. I could have not done any of this without my husband's love and support and of the family. But there's so much relatable between different types of jobs.
Mhm.
Performer and as an artist, dealing with rejection is a
Mhm.
hard one because as artists, we put our hearts out in our paintings, and then you go to a gallery, they don't find a home, or you go into these. Now I do more museum shows, and a performer does the same thing, and trying not to take it personally. It's like I knew, this is kind of off the record, but I knew that I was being considered to join the Prix de West, which is the premier Western show in the world, at the Cowgirl.
Wow.
I knew through the years, and I they would, they were calling me, interviewing me, and they would say, well, they want a guy, they want to, this. I think this year, I said, listen, if when the Lord wants me, if that's what He wants me to do, I will be there one day. And lo and behold, I came in with my first show and I won the gold medal that so many artists that I admire have been in that Prix de West for so many years, have never received it. And for me, to get it in my very first, I was crying. So
Amazing.
believing in yourself,
Mhm.
believing in yourself is very important, because if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you?
Oh, yeah. You're the only one that can do it.
You have to portray that, even if you're shaking in your boots, and I've been ever. But I don't take it for granted. 1 minute, I feel very lucky, or blessed is the word, that I am able to live off of my work. But I don't take it for granted one instant. Every time I approach a blank canvas, I'm like, okay, can I do this again?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I won't take more of your time, Madison, but it's so nice to meet you, and
So
thank you.
nice to meet you, and if there's any questions you do have beforehand, you have my number, so feel free to reach out. But thanks for taking time on your Saturday to talk with me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And thank you for accommodating your calendar too.
Yes.
Have a lovely week. Okay.
Yes, you too. We'll talk later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in to future episodes on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to visit the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame to view the newest exhibition, Soldadas to Amazonas, Escaramuza Charas, open now until the end of December. Keep up with the National Cowgirl Museum on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.